What a beautiful day it is to be making some stock for my freezer, as I am already out. These two beautiful beef bones were acquired a few months ago and they've just been sitting around in my freezer, so I'm going to put them to good use. I'll be using this 40-quart large stock pot and I'll be filling it about a third of the way with vegetables and meat. It is a little bit of an overkill, but it works. Some of the ingredients that I will be using are olive oil, salt, pepper, bay leaf, and just some vegetables that I have laying around. So let's get started. I'm going to be getting my baking sheet, putting my bones onto the baking sheet. Right now I'm only going to be browning my beef bones just because I have a lot of chicken, and really I'm going to be using whole chicken legs. I have about a 10-pound bag that's also, been sitting around in my freezer, so I'm going to just mix the two, beef and chicken. Typically I would not do that, but I really don't want anything to go to waste, and I've tried it before. It tastes just fine. Now, beef and chicken have different cook times when it comes to stocks and broths, which also differ in cook times, so I'm going to just explain my rationale here. So basically, if you're going by the basic definition that you'll probably find on Google, that is, a stock versus a broth. A stock is something that you make from primarily bones, either chicken or beef. It is very gelatin and collagen rich, and also you may also find histamine in it as a result of the cooking method, or more histamine than a broth. Now, a broth is something that is made with, of course, bones, but also the bones have lots of flesh on them. So that's kind of the differences between the conventional definitions. Also note that store-bought stocks and broths add vegetable gelatin to it. So if you're looking for those really good gut healing beneficial properties of stocks or broths, it may be best just to make your own. I've been doing it forever and it's been working for my family. We put our stocks and our broths into our rice and pasta, so I don't ever cook my rice or pasta, or very rarely do I cook them with water or anything else. We are definitely interested in the nutritional profile of stocks and broths, so that is what we do in our family. So here I'm just chopping up my vegetables. Got some carrots, some onion that was laying around, garlic, and some fresh ginger that I also have cut into some pieces. I'm also going to be throwing in that lemon into the stock, and I will be taking it out about 30 minutes into cooking, because I do not want my broth to get bitter from the lemon peel. And my daughter's just slipping in to help me. She is such a good helper, and I think a key element into making the littles just really enjoy their food is just letting them to participate in what you're doing, so that way they will enjoy the whole process, and it will definitely be a great bonding experience you don't want to miss out on. You might be familiar with the GAPS diet. It is a gut healing nutritional diet developed by Dr. Natasha McBride, and there are key differences in the definitions between a stock and a broth. These are the definitions that I prefer. So a stock is going to be something that uses some meat around bones, and the typical cook time is about 1 to 4 hours on top of the stove, versus a broth, which would be cooked longer, anywhere from 36 to 48 hours, and typically you're only using bones, and you only make broths when you're more progressed into the diet, as they do contain higher amounts of histamine that some people can be really sensitive to. Now, some of the pros of a broth are that it's very gelatin and collagen rich, so you definitely want that good stuff to be healing, your skin and those epithelial cells inside your body. So it's just broth, stocks, whatever you choose to do, they're just very great for your health overall. So we tend to cook with broths and stocks a lot. In fact, I never cook my rice or my pasta with water. I tend to use stocks and broths. Very rarely do I use water, really. So I'm just drizzling some olive oil on top of my veggies here, just making sure that they're going to be nice and brown so we get that caramelized taste in our broth. And we're going to be popping this into the oven to brown for about 25 minutes after, we're done applying the olive oil and the seasonings as well. You could really just go wild with whatever seasonings you would like. I actually ended up adding a little bit of the Costco brand no salt organic seasoning. We love that stuff. It just has such depth of flavor. It's a really good complement to our stock today. If I was just using beef bones today, I would definitely let it go into a slow cooked broth for a longer period of time, but I'm really just trying to get these bones used up and make some room in my freezer to put some more stock into it. I'm really just trying to use the ingredients that I do have on hand. Usually I would be using celery in my stocks and my broths. I think that is just such a great flavor booster, and maybe even some mushrooms, because that gives it that umami taste as well. As you noticed here, I just sprinkled some pepper on top of these vegetables. Now, if you have gut sensitivity issues or you're looking into healing, leaky gut issues, you don't want to use ground pepper. Instead, you want to use peppercorns. And I'm also sprinkling on some salt. I'm just kind of eyeballing it. Like, it's better to undersalt rather than oversalt your stock or your broth. So we're going to pop that into the oven for about 40 minutes until it gets nice and caramelized. In the meantime, do enjoy some photos of my daughter and her chicken Dot. They are BFFs. I love the way my daughter carries Dot around like a little purse, and here Dot is having her lunch, which is a handful of worms from our vermicomposting bin. She absolutely loves that. I hope that does not spoil your appetite too much. When our vegetables are done caramelizing, we're going to go ahead and we're going to stick them into this big stock pot. I like to use these tongs here to get the bigger pieces, and then I really just scoop out the rest with the tongs by holding the tray over the stock pot. We are going to fill the stock pot to about a third with water, just covering the vegetables and the bones and the meat. That way our our stock is nice and concentrated, because we really want lots of good nutrition in it, especially if we're concerned with health matters and making sure that our kids have good and nutrient-dense meals. Just a little side note, I prefer to make more of a stock as opposed to a broth, especially if the bones have come from a place that is not so reputable. I just got a 10-pound bag of chicken bones from Walmart for this stock, so I'm not really comfortable with cooking them for too long, as I am concerned about the potential contamination of heavy metals. So that's just what I choose to do, for my family. I still think that we get a lot of benefits from it, and when my broth comes out done and I put it in the refrigerator, it does come out to be slightly gelatinous, and so I know that it has gelatin and collagen in it. So that's just a trade-off that I make. So in order to get these bigger pieces out, I'm using my handy dandy tongs again, and I've tried many different ways to strain out items from broth, and I just found this to be the more effective way. And then after I'm done taking out the big pieces of meat, I'm going to use that little fryer, like little basket utensil, in order to take out like the vegetables and everything like that. And I'm going to put it into that bowl that I have next to me. And I think my chickens might munch on the things like, carrots and whatever else they really like. And straining out the medium-sized pieces like carrots and onion pieces, I choose not to strain out the little fine particles, and it's really because they don't bother me. So when I get down to scooping out everything with a ladle and putting into jars, I have this little bit of sediment left over, and it really doesn't bother us. And I don't include it in the last jar, but if you could take a look at these jars underneath, you'll see that I do have a little bit of sediment buildup, and it really doesn't bother us. I use it, our broths or stocks to make different things like rice and pasta with, and it really doesn't compromise on the flavor or how it looks. So this is the final product here after it's been sitting overnight in the refrigerator. It's slightly gelatinous, and I've already shaken it up here so you could see the little bit of sediment that's left over, and you're more than welcome to take a strainer to that and really make sure that you don't get any chunks or bits or pieces in it, but it really doesn't gross us out. So that's just what works for us, and I'm all about making my life easier when it comes to just taking care of my family and making sure that we have good food to eat. If you take a look at my jar, you'll notice that I left a good amount of headspace there at the top. That is solely for the purpose of freezing the jar and ensuring that the contents do not bust everywhere. You want to make sure to do the same if you intend to freeze your stock or your broth. It is already shaping up to be a beautiful day. The chickens are out and about, picking around somewhere. There's one right there. I hope that you have a great time making stocks or broths, and just have fun with it. Add whatever flavors that you feel are best. I love adding cilantro to mine sometimes. Definitely celery is a must for me. Just experiment with it, see what you like, see what you don't like, and I hope that you enjoy making stocks and broths as much as I do. I'll see you next time.